Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Children, today we are going to learn chapter number 18, Databases of Information and Communication Technology, 0417. What database is, or talking about in detail, let's move on to the important terminologies first. A database is an organized collection of data, like, for example, a dictionary or a telephone directory. These both are examples of databases because they are storing the data in an organized manner. A field. A field is a single item of data, such as the full name or date of birth. Each field has a field name, and that field name is used to identify it within the databases. Every field that you have defined in your database should contain only one type of data. For example, it could contain numbers or text or a date value. After a field, what we need to know is a record. It's a collection of fields. For example, all the information about one person or one item or one event, these may contain different data types. Just as an example, as you can see, the field names are teacher ID, phone name, surname, subject, and room. And there are different records, as you can see here, AVA, Anthony, Verala, Maths, 51. These are linked with one person, and this is forming a record of one teacher. Similarly, in this structure, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records, and which are AVA, GBA, JKW, PTY, SJR. These lines are actually the records. On the contrary, teacher ID, phone name, surname, subject, and room. These are your fields, and the field names are, as you have mentioned, as you can see here. Along with that, you need to know one more important term in databases, that is a file. It's an organized collection of records where all the records are organized that they can be stored all together. And remember, a file can have more or one or more tables within it. What is a database program? It's software which is needed to store and retrieve data in an organized manner, in a structured way. This includes the data that is stored, and the links between them is also a part of the database program. All the databases are going to store the data using files, records, and fields. And remember, we are going to even learn how those files are created. Now, we have talked about the fields. Out of these fields, one of the field is going to be treated as a primary key, and this primary key contains a unique value for each record. And each value exists only once, and it is possible that any entity, any person, any event, any thing is going to be accessed, is going to be identified by using that primary key. Like, for example, talking about the students, what is your primary key that exists only once in the table? Definitely your ID, correct? That's great. Now, moving on to another term that we need to know is a foreign key. What is a foreign key actually? It is a key that will be the primary key in another table, and this key is needed to link the two tables. And remember, we are going to work on two tables, which is basically a relational database management system. And in this, we are going to practice the primary keys definitely and the foreign key clearly. What is a DBMS? It's the software that is needed to manage the databases. Simple program that is needed is called DBMS. Now, before we proceed to the relational, we need to know the flat files also. A flat file database is storing all the data in one table, and that data is organized in rows and columns. Each record or row in the table contains data about one person or one entity. Each column in the table contains a field, the way we have talked about the field in earlier. Same case here, you can see, along with teacher ID, phoneme, surname, and subject, and room, you can see that it has 3 more fields: student ID, student father's name, which is rewritten as student underscore F name, and student underscore S name. In this manner, you can see that there are different fields that are, student underscore F name is for student phoneme, and student underscore S name is for student's surname. And in this manner, you can see that it is containing the details of all the students and the teachers in one table only. On the contrary, what is a relational database? It is going to store the data in more than one linked table, and that is going to be created within the same file. The relational database is designed so that the same data is not repeated. It is going to reduce the data redundancy. It's possible for different teachers, like just the same example, it's possible because we teachers teach different students and we are in the same classroom. So, and similarly, or for teachers or students to have the same phoneme and surname also. I mean, again, there is a high probability that the teachers or the students have the same phoneme and the surname. Then they can never be used as a primary key. Now, what we do here is we are going to split the table into 2 tables. One is going to be for teachers and second one will be for students. And these both are linked together so that they are going to be organized in a better, efficient manner, and the data can be stored and retrieved more efficiently. Here you can see the same table as was present in flat file databases is now split into 2 tables, and this seems to be more organized. What are the advantages and disadvantages of relational databases? Internal memory and external storage space is saved by not storing the data more than once, like it is going to reduce the concept of data redundancy. Records or data can be added, edited, or deleted quite easily. As the data is not repeated, each change has to be made only once, like it will be reflected automatically in the other tables. It's easier to produce reports from a relational database. These are all the advantages. But on the contrary, there's can say a limitation. I can say I'm not going to talk about it as a disadvantage as such. It takes longer to search using relational databases rather than flat file databases. Definitely, since it's stored in different locations, it will be taking a little longer. But if we compare its advantages, which are so many, then definitely this a little bit limitation is okay for us. Now, a very important concept that we need to understand is the data type. And we are going to talk about data types in Access because we are going to discuss and learn this software. That's why we are going to learn with respect to MS Access. Whenever you are creating a database, you need to set up a field, definitely. And for each field, you need to know the appropriate data type. And these data types tell Access what kind of data is coming in and how to store and manipulate the data as well. Yeah, and we have to decide it beforehand, otherwise it will be a problem in real life also. There are a number of data types that you can use, and different packages have different names for them. But since we are learning Access at the moment, that's why we are going to restrict ourselves to Access only. And in Access, an alphanumeric field, and as the name implies, alphanumeric means alphabets and numbers, is called a text field. The 3 main types of fields are alphanumeric, numeric, and Boolean. Now let's move on to the same as I talked about. Alphanumeric means it is going to contain the alphabetic values or numeric numbers, and that is not used in calculations. Very important thing that you need to know is whichever field you think should not be used in calculations, it's better if we make it a text field because it is not used in calculations. A numeric field is going to be storing the numeric values. And remember, whenever you need to perform calculations, we always use the numeric data type. And again, telephone number. By the way, although telephone numbers are composed of digits, but since we are not going to use them in calculations, that's why we are going to declare them. We are going to use them as a text field. That's great. Now, in Access, what do we call a numeric field? We call it a number field. And there are different types based on the kind of data we have to store. We decide the subtype of the number field. The first one is integer. As the name implies, integer is always going to store the whole numbers. And in Access, we are allowed to use an integer field or a long integer field. And it is always recommended that you are going to use long integer in case your values are 3 or more digits. The second one is decimal. In case you have to store a value like, for example, percentage. And for percentage, you will definitely select decimal. You are never going to use integer so that it can store the decimal values as well. And you can set how many decimals you want the database to store. The third one is currency, and it is going to allow you to store the currency value, the currency symbol also along with the value itself. For example, the rupees or the dollars or pound, whichever currency is set, you can set that value. The next one is date and time, and it's used to store date and time as a number. The last one is a Boolean, and as you can see, Boolean is going to store a value that is for yes or no, true or false, or it can be represented as 0 or 1. Now, along with what we have discussed, there are a few other data types also that are used in Access, and another one is auto number. And as the name implies, it is going to generate the numbers automatically, and which are always going to be unique. Along with that, Access also gives us the facility of using long text and short text, which are basically the extended versions of your text data type. Along with the data types that are mentioned here, we also have the OLE object, and that is meant to store the object linking and embedding values. Media files are also supposed to be used for web applications, and definitely this is also available, but we are really going to use them in our learning. We may use them in our future endeavors. Jazakallah khairan Kasira for being a part of the learning journey. If you have liked my video, please subscribe the channel and be a part of the community so that you are getting the updates as soon as new videos are uploaded. Allah Hafiz.